I suppose it could be coincidence. I don't think it's coincidence, and especially given the nature of the case.
Yes.
Because when you look at who is examining these various witnesses, especially female alleged victims, of which there will be 4.
Sean Diddy Combs just got a brutal reminder that power don't mean protection when the walls start closing in. Everyone thought that 50-month sentence was his downfall. Locked up, but still untouchable, still calling shots from inside. But all that ended the moment cold steel touched his throat. That hit inside the Brooklyn cell wasn't some random fight. No way. Sources from the Metropolitan Detention Center say it was a setup, a message loud and clear. The timing couldn't be worse either. The same week, his supposed lifeline, a rumored pardon from Donald Trump, disappeared after a single icy comment from the White House. Talk about timing. The numbers are brutal. 2 solicitation convictions, over 100 lawsuits breathing down his neck, $615 million in mansions suddenly yanked off the market, and that private jet, gone. Sold off quietly to some mystery buyer. Even his own lawyers are whispering they haven't been paid in months. His legal team's spinning it as a misunderstanding, while his family's shouting witch hunt, but behind closed doors, it's chaos. Let's keep it real. Someone inside that prison knows exactly where he sleeps, and someone outside made sure he stays there. The biggest question now ain't who held the blade. It's who leaked that footage of him pleading with his lawyer for a media strategy just 3 days before his arrest. And why the same folks who once called him a genius now leave his calls on read. Something deep is going down, and it's shaking the whole empire. This stopped being about survival a long time ago. Now it's about who gets to control the ending. The next headline dropping isn't a legal update. It's a full-blown homicide investigation. 2 months ago, that blade pressed against Sean Diddy Combs' throat inside that Brooklyn prison cell wasn't just another jailhouse shank. It was a warning shot from a system he once thought he owned. The same system that used to protect him has flipped the script, and now it's out for blood. Official reports from the Metropolitan Detention Center are trying to downplay it, calling it a routine altercation in a place where violence is just part of the air you breathe. But people who've lived behind those bars are saying it straight. This wasn't random. It went down in the early hours of October 20th, just days after his lawyers filed an appeal arguing his 50-month sentence was way too heavy. And get this, less than 3 days later, Donald Trump's team quietly let it slip to the media that no pardon was coming. That timing? Way too tight to be a coincidence. Inside a place like MDC Brooklyn, where Ghislaine Maxwell once sat and R. Kelly found out fame can't save you. An attack like that isn't just about rage, it's a message delivered sharp and clear that the game Diddy used to run is now running him. What's being whispered now is way darker. Someone on the inside knows exactly how much Combs is really worth, and it's not just about money. His legal mess is public, but his real weak spots? Those are being traded quietly in the shadows. That's where this whole story starts to twist. Here's where things stop making sense. The attack reportedly came after weeks of Combs paying other inmates for protection, which isn't unusual in federal lockups. In places like that, the real currency isn't commissary stamps, it's favors, access, and information. His team claims it was all self-defense, a necessary move for a high-profile name trying to stay safe. Sounds clean, but it don't add up. Because Combs wasn't in general population at all. He was housed in the special housing unit, a lockdown section meant for inmates who can't trust others or who others can't trust. That's not where random chaos pops off. That's where quiet deals happen, favors get cashed in, and the wrong piece of leverage can turn a small issue into a life-changing situation fast.
2 months?
4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year. He gets some time. He gets 15% credit, so he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
2 months.
So, and then he gets another 15% in the remaining. He's out in 2 years.
Yeah. Should have stuck with the original guess.
I know.
Yeah.
And here's the part that really raises eyebrows. A guard stepped in before any serious damage was done, which only fuels more questions. Was this a warning shot, a pressure test, or something more strategic? A setup meant to make Combs look like he's in extreme danger, just enough to justify a transfer, a behind-the-scenes deal, or a quiet concession down the line. Whatever it was, this wasn't sloppy. It was calculated, and somebody knew exactly what they were doing. Then there's the footage. And no, not those blurry security clips that always pop up after jail incidents. This is the kind of footage that never hits the news, the kind that quietly lands in the hands of people who know exactly how to use it. And that's where things start getting real uncomfortable. Combs' legal team has stayed tight-lipped about the appeal, but court filings tell a louder story. They're arguing that U.S. District Judge Aaron Subramanian acted like a 13th juror, allowing evidence tied to charges Combs was already acquitted of, racketeering, coercion, the whole lineup, to influence sentencing on the 2 solicitation-related counts he was convicted of. On paper, that's a legal play. But the timing? That's what's setting alarms off. The appeal was filed on October 19th. The attack happened the very next night. Coincidence? Maybe. But in a system where information equals leverage and where Combs' team has been scrambling nonstop to control the narrative since the verdict, it's hard to ignore the message. Someone may have wanted to remind him just how little control he's really got left. What's even louder than the attack is who isn't speaking. His inner circle? Silent. His lawyers, business managers, even the publicist who once turned every move into a headline win. Nothing. No outrage, no public demands for answers, no calls for investigations, just dead air. And that's not how this usually goes. When a figure like Combs, a man who built an empire on being louder, richer, and seemingly untouchable, gets hit like this, the machine normally kicks into high gear. Lawyers start posturing, managers start leaking, allies rush to defend. But this time, nothing. The only noise is coming from the other side. From accusers who've waited years for this moment, from rivals who've been watching closely, and from the prison grapevine. A place where whispers don't stay whispers for long, they turn into weapons fast. And then there's the money, or more accurately, what's suddenly missing. Combs' financial empire was supposed to be his shield, the thing that kept him untouchable no matter how bad things got. But right now, that shield is cracking fast. His $61.5 million Beverly Hills mansion, the one federal agents searched last year, has been quietly pulled off the market again, marking the second time in just 12 months. This is the same property investigators publicly linked to extensive personal supplies and professional-grade recording equipment, details that fueled headlines and raised serious questions. Whatever the reason, buyers are backing away, and the house has become more liability than lifeline. Then there's the private jet, the one he used to hop between Miami and Los Angeles like they were next-door neighbors. That jet was sold last month to an anonymous buyer through a shell company. No press, no celebration, just gone. At the same time, his business managers at TreeStar Sports and Entertainment, the firm overseeing his frozen assets, have reportedly stopped taking calls from his legal team and even his own staff. Some employees haven't been paid in weeks. This isn't a simple cash slowdown. It's a warning sign. When the money dries up, loyalty disappears just as fast. The people who once relied on him are now quietly cutting their losses, and nobody wants to be the last one holding the bag. But the real shockwave is happening outside the prison walls. While Combs has been focused on staying safe on the inside, his 2 eldest sons, Justin and Christian, suddenly announced they're producing their own documentary. On the surface, it looks like family unity, but the timing, way off. Netflix's series, Sean Combs: The Reckoning, dropped in early December, tearing apart his public image. And within just 48 hours, the Sons project was reportedly greenlit by Zeus Network. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. Whether it's damage control, distance, or something else entirely, one thing's clear. The empire that once moved as one is now breaking into separate plays, and everyone's looking out for themselves. That's not coincidence. That's a counterattack. And counterattacks only happen when someone's clearly losing the war. What's being said behind closed doors is that the Combs brothers aren't just trying to defend their father's name, they're trying to protect their own futures. In an industry where legacy is everything, being tied to a convicted felon connected to some of hip-hop's most infamous and tragic chapters isn't just bad press, it's a career-ending weight. Let's be real, that kind of baggage doesn't fade with a press run or a glossy documentary. It follows you into boardrooms, negotiations, and every deal you try to close. So this move looks less like loyalty and more like survival, a scramble to separate their names before the fallout locks them in for good. But the most damning detail isn't what's being said out loud, it's what's being erased. In the days following the prison attack, Combs' social media presence went completely dark. Accounts that once blasted non-stop images of yachts, parties, and power moves suddenly fell silent. No statements, no defiant posts, Not even a vague inspirational quote. The man who built a brand on being everywhere at once has vanished, leaving behind a vacuum that's now being filled by accusers, rivals, and prison rumors that don't stay behind bars for long.
And just so happened one time we stumbled upon something. You know, it's a big white pentagram on the ground, candles, and it's like, okay. And then we keep looking around, we find somebody in a dog cage. A little lady in a dog cage, handcuffed behind her back.
And here's where it gets deeper. The real question isn't just who put a blade to his throat, it's who's making sure he stays quiet while everything around him collapses. Because that silence, that feels enforced, not chosen. That's where things start getting uncomfortable. The same week the attack went down, a name quietly resurfaced in the background, one that hadn't been part of the public conversation in years. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man charged in connection with Tupac Shakur's death, is set to stand trial in February 2026. His legal team has been filing motions behind the scenes, and while Combs isn't mentioned directly, the overlap is hard to ignore. Davis has spent decades claiming he was just a small piece in a much bigger picture, insisting the real decisions came from higher levels. Now, with Combs locked in a cell and his empire falling apart piece by piece, the timing doesn't feel random at all. It feels like opportunity, the kind that only shows up when power shifts and silence becomes more valuable than loyalty. The street version of this story has always said Tupac Shakur's killing was business, not personal. But business changes fast when the people at the top start slipping. And right now, Combs isn't just falling. It looks like he's being shoved. What nobody's saying out loud is that this may not be about justice at all. It may be about leverage. Because when someone like Combs, a man long rumored to have collected secrets, controlled narratives, and kept tight circles for decades, ends up locked in a place where the only currency that matters is information, everything flips. What he allegedly tried to bury suddenly becomes the most valuable thing in the room. Power changes hands quick in situations like that. That blade at his throat wasn't just a threat, it was a reminder that the protection he once relied on doesn't reach this far anymore. And whoever sent that message clearly isn't finished. The real question now is what they want in return for backing off, and how much silence is really worth. Because the real story isn't just about a weapon in a prison cell, it's about the system that allowed it to happen, and the years of closed mouths and quiet deals that made someone feel untouchable in the first place. This isn't just a prison incident or another courtroom fight. It's the collapse of an entire protection structure that once kept him insulated from consequences. The same industry that allegedly ignored questionable behavior for decades is now pulling back, feeding information to anyone listening. And the wolves circling aren't just inmates in MDC Brooklyn or prosecutors in New York. They're everywhere, and they're hungry. They're the same people who once benefited from his power. Record executives who looked the other way, politicians lining up for photo ops, even artists who built whole careers on his label while fully aware of what went down at those parties and inside those mansions. The question now isn't just who wants him finished, it's who's making sure he stays finished. What's becoming impossible to ignore is this: Diddy's downfall doesn't look accidental at all. It looks coordinated. The pattern is too clean, too consistent. First came the federal raids in March 2024, when agents walked out of his properties with material that reportedly went far beyond the charges he was eventually convicted on. Then came the trial. Acquitted on racketeering, sure, but still hit with enough convictions to guarantee real time behind bars. Then everything stacked up fast. The prison attack, the frozen assets, the documentaries, the Sun's rushed counter-documentary. None of this feels random. Someone is steering the narrative with precision, tightening the pressure step by step. And the fact that his own legal team won't even confirm whether they're being paid anymore, that says plenty. This isn't just about accountability. It's about stripping him of the ability to fight back at all. And then there's the part nobody wants to touch without gloves. The Shakur and Biggie connection, the piece that's always been too volatile to sit quietly. The Netflix documentary didn't just recycle old conspiracy talk, it introduced new names, new timelines, and most eye-opening of all, previously unseen footage of Diddy himself discussing those events in ways that don't sound like simple denial. At this point, it's clear, the fall isn't being rushed, it's being managed. And whoever's behind it knows exactly how to make sure the door stays closed once it finally slams shut. The proffer agreement tied to Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man charged in connection with Tupac Shakur's tragic death, doesn't just point fingers, it sketches out something much bigger. It suggests coordination that allegedly went way beyond street-level retaliation. When Davis told investigators back in 2008 that Diddy offered him $1 million to handle a problem, he wasn't just talking numbers. He was describing how a system was said to operate. And systems like that don't survive on muscle alone. They need protection. They need silence. Most of all, they need people willing to look the other way when lines get crossed. That's how things allegedly keep moving without questions getting asked. And when situations turn deadly, those same systems start cracking fast.
Out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there from that young man.
What really stands out is how quickly the old alliances have fallen apart. The same industry insiders who once hyped him as a visionary are now backing away like he's untouchable in the worst way. Politicians who once welcomed him at fundraisers, suddenly unreachable. Even inside his own family, the unity looks fractured. His son's pushing forward with a documentary to protect the brand, while his younger children reportedly lock down their social media to dodge backlash. That contrast says everything. This isn't just a fall from grace, it feels like a full purge. And purges don't happen without pressure coming from somewhere. So the real question isn't just about what Diddy is accused of doing, it's about what he knows. Because someone who spent decades at the center of hip-hop's most powerful and most dangerous circles doesn't just stack wealth, they collect stories, secrets, and leverage. And right now, those may be worth more than money ever was. He didn't just build wealth, he built a vault of secrets. And secrets are the one thing that can flip allies into enemies overnight. That's why the financial freefall hits harder than any headline. A figure like Diddy doesn't simply run out of money, he gets cut off. That $61.5 million mansion pulled off the market twice in a single year isn't bad timing. It's a signal being sent loud and clear. Then there's the jet, sold quietly to an anonymous buyer through a shell company. That's not smart restructuring, that's a fire sale. No press, no delay, just gone. And when his business managers at TriStar Sports and Entertainment won't even confirm whether his legal team is still being paid, that's when the picture sharpens. This isn't about cash flow problems, it's about control being taken out of his hands. Someone is actively making sure he doesn't have the resources to fight back. Someone is making sure he stays exactly where he is, boxed in, exposed, and running out of moves. This isn't chaos, it's pressure applied step by step, and then there's the silence from the one person who could have shifted everything. Donald Trump's refusal to even entertain a pardon wasn't just politics, it was a message. These two moved in overlapping circles for years. Same events, same rooms, same kind of influence. But when it mattered most, Trump didn't just say no. He made it public that the door wasn't even open. That wasn't hesitation. That was distance, a clean break. And in a world where silence can be louder than support, that moment spoke volumes. Whatever protection once existed is gone, and the message couldn't be clearer. He's on his own now, and the walls are closing in fast. That's not how their world operates. You don't just abandon your own without a reason. Not unless someone got to you first. And the only explanation that fits is this. Somebody moved faster, smarter, and quieter. The same force that made sure the Netflix documentary dropped exactly when it did. The same source that's been feeding stories to the press for months. The same hand now keeping Diddy's name locked in headlines and never for anything good. What's unfolding right now isn't just a legal fight or some prison drama. This looks like a takeover, the kind that doesn't play out in courtrooms or on the streets. It happens in back rooms and boardrooms where decisions are sealed with whispers and handshakes. No paper trail, no fingerprints, and by the time the public figures it out, the deal's already done. The real miscalculation wasn't the charges he was convicted on. It was believing that the people who benefited from his silence would keep protecting him once the balance shifted. That loyalty only lasts as long as it's useful. And now that the tables have flipped, that protection is gone. So the question isn't just whether he makes it through his sentence, it's whether he makes it through the people who helped put him there in the first place. And the most chilling part of all this isn't the violence, or the court rulings, or even the money. It's the coordination, the timing, the way everything moves together like it was planned long before anyone noticed. That's what should really make people stop and pay attention. Look at the timing. Really look at it. The documentary drops right as the appeal is being filed. The prison attack happens just days after Trump shuts the door on a pardon. His financial assets start vanishing right as the trial gets scheduled. This isn't bad luck stacked on bad luck. This is a timeline. And timelines like this don't happen by accident. Timelines get written by people who know exactly what they're doing. Every move placed carefully, every moment lined up for maximum pressure. That's why the real mystery isn't who put a blade to Diddy's throat. It's who's holding the pen. Because whoever's writing this story isn't loud, sloppy, or reckless. They're quiet, calculated, and that's what makes it dangerous. The ones with real control don't make speeches in courtrooms or ran online. Their statements show up in the silence, in the deals that never get reported, in the pauses between headlines, in the moments when nothing is said but everything changes. And that's the coldest part of all. Watching a man who once controlled rooms, careers, and narratives realize he doesn't control anything anymore. His empire didn't collapse in one dramatic moment. It was taken apart slowly, deliberately, piece by piece. And here's the part that should really stick. The people doing the dismantling aren't done yet. This wasn't the ending. It was the setup. And whatever comes next is already in motion, whether anyone's ready for it or not. So here's where things stand right now. A man who once ruled hip-hop now finds himself fighting to survive inside a prison cell. His fortune is being sliced up by people he once trusted, and the same industry that crowned him a legend is suddenly treating him like a liability nobody wants to touch. His sons are racing to rewrite the story, his accusers are lining up to make sure it stays written their way, and the people who truly know what happened are staying quiet, and that silence feels intentional. The Shakur trial is approaching fast. The appeal is still hanging in the balance. The money is drying up by the day, and somewhere in the background, someone is making sure that no matter what comes next, Diddy doesn't just walk away from this. Not this time. This isn't chaos. It's pressure being applied from every direction at once. Now it's on you. Do you think this is really about justice, or is it something darker playing out behind the scenes? Who do you think is pulling the strings right now? Is it 50 Cent, federal investigators, or someone whose name hasn't even surfaced yet? And here's the biggest question of all. If Diddy truly had any involvement in the tragic events surrounding Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G., who else would have been connected? Who benefited? Who stayed silent? Drop your theories in the comments and let your voice be heard. And if this breakdown had you thinking, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep this conversation going. Because one thing is certain, this story isn't finished, not even close. Stay locked in, because what comes next might be even bigger than what's already been exposed.